Welcome to the Natural History Cupboard. Come on in.
And welcome back to the Natural History Cupboard podcast, the place where the weird and wonderful parts of the natural world come together. I'm your host, Gareth, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Aaron. Aaron, what have you been up to?
Not much this week.
Well,
I am
rubbish.
I am printing something.
Yes, you
but
are.
I'm not going to say what it is. But you
In
will
case it all
see
goes
it.
wrong.
No, I'm feeling pretty confident with it.
It's looking good.
It is looking good so far, isn't it? I'm really
3D
pleased.
printing.
3D printer, yeah, not piece of paper, but it will be coming up in a future episode that's already kind of mapped out. So yeah.
Interesting.
What about you?
You know what? I'm on holiday this week. It's been lovely. Well, it's been the wife's birthday, and sort of went out for a nice meal. Bit of a wander down by the river, and that's about most of it. It's been actually nice weather for a change, although today is typically raining. So yeah, I don't know. I know I've not done a giant amount natural history wise. But yeah, if anything, just not been doing very much. Played a lot of Planet Zoo.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. That's good.
I've now got a spoonbill enclosure.
Oh, of course.
Because who doesn't have a European spoonbill enclosure in there too? I mean, there should be more of them. But yeah, I've not, like I say, not done much. You've not done much. Yeah.
Oh, we'll move on.
Into the news.
It's the news.
Right, well, we're into the news this week. Aaron, I believe you are starting us off. What have we got?
I am. Forgive me, because I'm reading this off my phone. Technical issues. So, first up comes to us from Live Science. Now, Live Science are reporting that Kazakhstan plants tens of thousands of trees in giant effort to reintroduce tigers. So, we reported before, maybe a year or so ago,
Just
that
certainly last year.
Kazakhstan were, yeah, it was last year, yeah. They're reintroducing tigers, Amur tigers, in the hopes that it, over time, adapt to the environment, very similar to where
Caspian tiger, isn't it?
yeah, would bring about the Caspian tiger. So they've planted 37,000 saplings, or is it seedlings? I can't remember what it's seedlings. It says, and also cuttings in South Balkhash last year, basically to prepare for the return of the cats. The tigers have not. Caspian tigers went extinct roughly 70 years ago, and this is all basically housewarming gift for them.
Oh, that's good. Hopefully we'll get, well, yeah, the Caspian tiger point two.
Yes,
in the future.
return of Caspian tiger.
So mine is further closer to home. It's from the BBC, and Earth's heat to power 10,000 homes in renewable energy, which is a first for the UK. It's basically the opening of the UK's first geothermal energy plant.
Oh, yes.
Down in Cornwall. They drilled a borehole down into an aquifer that has obviously superheated steam coming out of it, and are now using that to be able to power homes. And what they were talking about this morning on the news about it was that, you know, it doesn't need nuclear fuel, it doesn't need coal, it doesn't need even the sun to be shining or the wind to be blowing. That heat is coming up regardless. So it's going all the time. It doesn't need any other extra input. So yeah, really good energy source.
Yeah, that's great. So my next article comes to us from People, which is not one that we usually use.
No, it's not a news source I would tend to think of.
No, but it's an interesting one. After nearly 200 years, giant tortoises have returned to a Galapagos island after historic rewilding efforts, just proving that captive breeding and rewilding efforts do work quite a lot. I mean, scimitar horned oryx, for example. But basically, over 150 of these tortoises have been captive bred, and the youngsters, juveniles, have now been released onto the island.
Nice.
And ready to basically make it their home.
Oh, good. So my next one's also from the BBC, and it's not so good a news, and from further afield. So why scientists fear that emperor penguins' annual molt may be killing them off. So they obviously track penguins through a couple of different means, mostly through satellites, and they do this by looking at their poo or their feathers. Not many people are aware that obviously penguins go through what's called a catastrophic molt. Being a seabird and living in frigidly cold water, they go through a molt that basically gets rid of all of their old feathers in one hit. Whereas most birds tend to go through a sort of progressive molt where they'll lose one or two feathers and replace them as they go. Basically, they're not so reliant on it. A bird can fly with, patches of feathers missing in its wings, but a penguin can't get in freezing cold water if its feathers aren't all there because they need the layers to basically protect their inner, their body from the cold. So imagine like a dry suit with a hole in it, essentially.
Yes.
So one of the ways that they track penguin numbers is by taking satellite images. And over the last couple of years, they've noticed that these big areas where the penguins would be catastrophically molting have disappeared. And they think that because the sea ice around Antarctica is changing and disappearing earlier, a lot of these birds aren't getting the time they need to be able to properly molt, going back to sea and then dying of exposure or waterlogged feathers, which is pretty sad.
It's awful.
Yeah.
BBC brings us my final headline for this week, and that is, I should say, this is from BBC's BBC Earth page.
Yeah.
And the headline is "The Ghost of the Mountain, the former Soviet reserve where snow leopards roam." Now, Ghost of the Mountain, I feel like that's the title of a really good documentary on snow leopards. It's topical. Basically, in a historic former Soviet reserve in the magnificent Uzbek mountains, Michaela Strachan and India Latham find rare signs of the world's most elusive felines. And so, they start to find them up in these kind of abandoned pseudo wildernesses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say, the most mysterious and hard to spot cats out there, but I can beat that. Back in Cornwall again with Cornwall Live, which is probably on a par with People for, like high levels of animal reporting. Amazing video shows black panther spotted by guests at Southwest Hotel. In other words, they had Disney Plus on and they were just watching the film. No, this is the report that some people have seen what they assume is a black panther because everything's a black panther. It can't be just a house cat that you've seen at distance. One of the quotes that comes from this from a Karen Carter, who was celebrating her husband's birthday at the time with a glass of Prosecco when the couple spotted the mysterious big black cat, said,
"Big Goggles blind, I'm just trying to unwind."
Said,
"Big cat."
That looks like a big cat to me. I mean, there you have it. Basically, it's video footage of a black blurry cat in the distance, which when the camera pans across, you can see that it's about the size of a large house cat that's black.
Well, that is our headlines for this week. And if you guys at home have anything that you'd like us to cover,
if you've seen any black blurry cats in the distance,
take your blurry photos, send them in for us to absolutely trash. Other than that, if you've got articles, send them on in. You know how to do it by now. But we'll move on into the main article. And that is something that will make Gareth very happy.
I was very happy seeing this news.
It made me very happy too, because I'm not a hater of this animal. I just do it to wind you up. So the headline comes to us from the Natural History Museum. I thought they were the best ones to use for this one. And it is new saber-crested Spinosaurus species named from desert dinosaur fossils. The article was written by James Ashworth, and it was only a few days ago that this was published.
Yeah, beginning of the week, I think.
Yeah. So a striking Spinosaurus skull found in the Sahara Desert has been named a new species. The species is going to be called Spinosaurus
Mirabilis.
mirabilis. Could say it perfectly fine off camera 10 minutes ago. It was found in Niger, and it's been named Spinosaurus mirabilis, which basically is a new Spinosaurus species, as opposed to
It's a
Spinosaurus.
grand total of 2.
Yeah, which is great. Basically, it had like a sword-shaped crest on top of its head. I said saber just now.
Scimitar, I think, better.
Scimitar.
Yeah.
Looking at the shape of it, I would definitely.
Swept
I'd
back.
go with you, scimitar. Alone there.
I mean, it's not a sword.
Saber and scimitar are very similar, like kind of crescent shape. But yeah, there it is. The basically a scientific expedition encountered the actual bone, the actual scimitar shaped bone, in the Sahara Desert, and they weren't quite sure what it was or anything. Further research revealed that they belonged to a previously unknown species, which has now been named as such. It's a really cool looking animal that you'll be able to see on the screen.
It's got a slightly more straight part to the top of its jaw, as opposed to Spinosaurus aegypticus, which dips in a bit more. This looks far more straight line coming down from that crest.
Yeah,
There's noticeable difference to say that it's not the same animal.
yes.
And as far as I'm aware, it came from a more inland habitat.
Well, yeah, it would have done. Also, this is a 95 million year old dinosaur.
Cenomonian stage,
Yeah. The scimitar-shaped bones would have been covered in a layer of keratin, and they believe it might have been, or rather, the hypotheses they put forward is that it might be to do with mating, attracting a mate.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is
certainly
almost always the case, especially with dinosaurs. When you think of the birds,
this is
other things.
This is the largest crest on any non-avian dinosaur.
Yeah,
Like theropod, basically.
So the lead author of the study was Professor Paul Sereno. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Sorry. And he says that the amazing find gives an insight into the life of this fish-eating dinosaur. I envision. Sorry, this is a direct quote now. I envision Spinosaurus mirabilis as a kind of hell heron.
Yeah, the hell herons. I love that.
Very cool name.
Nah.
It would have had no problem wading on its sturdy legs into 2 meters of water, but probably spent most of its time stalking shallower traps for the many large fish of the day. Dr. David Hone, a paleontologist from Queen Mary University of London, who was not involved in the research, welcomed the discovery of these fossils, and he added, by the way, I'm quoting from the actual article at the moment, he added that while the fossils confirm some theories about the dinosaur, many other questions about Spinosaurus remain open. Direct quote from him, from Dr. David Hone, is, we've known that Spinosaurus had a crest and that it lived around water for some time. The difference here is that Spinosaurus mirabilis had a much bigger crest than the previously named species and lived in an area these dinosaurs hadn't been found in before. Unfortunately, the fossils in this study don't tell us much more than that about Spinosaurus and its relatives. We need to discover better preserved specimens to find out more about these poorly known dinosaurs. And yeah, it's just a really cool day for paleontology. Really cool day for Spinosaur fans. Whoop, whoop. Yeah,
More Spinosaurus.
absolutely.
More hell herons.
I like that name.
Yeah, it suits them perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, should we move from hell herons into another theropod?
Yes.
Let's head into our creature feature.
It's the creature feature.
Right, well, we're into this week's creature feature. Whilst Aaron giggles at the various puns that he's got going through his head, I will get us into what we're talking about. Now, it's been a while since I've done a sad extinction story. I've done the thylacine, the dodo. Drew did the passenger pigeon. There's a few others along the way. Anyway, the point being, I'm back with a sad extinction story for this year, and also to sort of round out some of the prehistoric birds of New Zealand as well, and to add to that collection of avifauna. This week we're going to be looking at the moa, the giants of New Zealand, a species that I've been meaning to do for a long time. I've even covered the Haarsteagel, their predator, but yeah, we're now looking at the moa itself. So long before humans arrived, and before axes bit into the forest and cut down fangorn, and cooking fires lit up the coast, New Zealand was a land ruled not by mammals at all, but by birds. This should be of no surprise to anyone who's listened to anything I've talked about when it comes to New Zealand's fauna. It is a land ruled by birds, reptiles, and insects. You know, there are no native land mammals to New Zealand until humans turned up, excluding those bats that tend to run around on the ground, pretending that they're shrews, and obviously marine mammals on the coast. But amongst these forests were giants, towering above the undergrowth, browsing high into the canopy in some cases, striding across river plains and alpine valleys with a moa, some of the tallest birds to ever walk the planet. And I think some of the coolest as well.
I think it's a cool animal, yeah.
I don't know why, but I prefer. I mean, I think I've got more of a bias towards New Zealand's wildlife. But if you gave me a choice to go and see moa, time machine wise, moa or elephant birds, and even though elephant birds are physically bigger, I'd go to to see the moa. I think they're just ultimately that little bit more interesting in some ways. So what is a moa? Not a lawnmower, or the different things that you were thinking in your head there. But moa belong to the extinct order Diornithiformes, a lineage of large, completely flightless birds found only in New Zealand. In fact, they're so flightless, they evolved away from having wings entirely. In fact, the only bones that were generally present was a tiny little bit of the what would essentially be the in us would be our collarbone and a little bit of the sort of shoulder, but it's become this tiny little
vestigial, but about as vestigial as you can get before you just disappear entirely.
Basically, in the same sort of vein that some whales have, like leg bones buried in them. So for decades, scientists assumed that the moa was closely related to the kiwi, which, makes sense. Both live in New Zealand, both are flightless, and it seems pretty obvious, really, and that was the consensus for a very, very long time. But DNA analysis has changed this. Genetic studies revealed that the moa are actually most closely related to the South American tinamou, a bird that I'm guessing most of you probably never even heard of. Aaron, have you heard of the tinamou?
Yes.
Ah, there you go.
I'm cheating.
Well, you've read
I like ratites. No, I like ratites.
All right. So, yes, they are also a member of the ratite family, which is the large flightless birds generally. So the ostrich, the emu, the cassowary, and the tinamou. In fact, there's quite a few species of tinamou as well.
I can't remember how many, though.
I think it's about 5 to 6, something like that. But yeah, they're all fairly similar in sort of shape, but very different looking to a ratite, and they can fly. So a small ground-living bird that can fly that lives in South America. And this means that the moa's ancestors didn't evolve on New Zealand. They actually flew there. So how on earth did the moa arrive there? Its ancestors most likely reached New Zealand during the Miocene epoch, about 16 to 19 million years ago. And at this point, New Zealand was separated from Gondwana, the much larger southern continent.
It's a messy divorce. Lots of
there was a lot of breakups.
They movered apart.
God. Around 80 million years earlier when it had broken up. Much of the land had been submerged during the Oligocene, about 25 to 23 million years ago. There were no land mammals occupying large herbivore niches in what was New Zealand. Rather than being stranded relics of Gondwana, moa ancestors most certainly flew there and probably sort of hopped along, like land hopped along the way.
Yeah, to keep moving.
Oh God! Once they'd established in a land without terrestrial predators, they essentially did what most birds do when they get to an island. They got bigger and they lost flight because who needs it, really? Don't have to worry.
No predators, so try and reclaim the ancient traditional tyrant lizard form.
Yeah, why not? And over millions of years, throughout the Miocene, right through into the Pliocene, about 5 to 10 million years ago, and then into the Pleistocene, they diversified into multiple ecological forms. You'd be surprised how many species of moa there actually were.
How many were there?
You'll find out in a minute.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the New Zealand kiwi actually followed a completely separate evolutionary path and is actually more genetically closely related to the massive elephant bird of Madagascar than to the moa. So New Zealand is basically this sort of landing point for all of these flighted birds that come from weird ancestors, just turning up and going, you know what? Let's get flightless.
So it's some sort of ratite homing beacon, but
Yeah.
it was all a trap. You get there and they take away your feathers. They take away your flights.
But we end up
your
with
wings.
with those two amazing, unique groups of birds living on a very, very odd but very, very cool place. So ratite gigantism evolved multiple times independently and is an extraordinary case of convergent evolution in just one family, really. So there are 9 moa species.
9
9.
in New Zealand.
Well, they didn't go anywhere else.
9.
Oh, yes, the 9.
9. The 9. They're the Nazgul.
Yes, they are the Nazgul of birds. Why not?
But I am shocked. I forgot. Sorry, shocked to find out that there are 9. You said we'd be surprised.
Oh, okay, right. So we're going to do them from smallest to tallest because you'd also be surprised that some of them were not very big at all. There are, let's say, 9 recognized species ranging from compact forest browsers to towering canopy-reaching giants, basically filling in that ecological niche of, well, a sauropod, really, I suppose, in some ways. So the smallest being the bush mower, and it roughly was about 1 to 1.3 meters tall. Not very big at all.
No.
Weighed about 20 to 30 kilos and was the smallest species. It was sort of rounded, compact body with quite a short neck, thick legs, shaggy brown feathers, and a slightly more curved beak than what most people picture of when they think of moa's beaks. They all had different habitats that they obviously inhabited and different parts of the 2 islands, but these guys lived in dense lowland forests on both the North and the South Island.
Which it makes sense that in the dense forest you have a smaller frame. It helps you mow around a bit more.
Oh my god! This means I don't have to do a joke at the end. So number 2, little bush mower. So stocky, powerful forest dweller of the North Island, basically, and more specifically on the North Island, 1.3 meters tall and weighing up to 50 kilos. So bit chunky. If that thing's hitting you at speed, it's probably going to hurt. The crested mower, which this one is an alpine species of the South Island and is yet again robust, about 1.4 meters up to 80 kilos. And you're probably wondering why the crested bit.
Probably because it doesn't have a crest.
Well, technically yes, and technically no. So in a lot of crested birds or birds that have sort of feathers that stick up, they tend to have little dimples on their skulls. And the skull of this species has obviously been found. And essentially, it was inferred that it had crests.
So there's evidence that suggests it might be there, but not evidence of it actually being there.
Yeah. So it could be complete. The crested moa could have crested feathers. It could also not. So there's potential there for it. Which some of the artwork that I've seen of them, that makes them look quite cool.
Like how do they? I've not seen this artwork. So is it like a chicken crest, or is it?
We're talking more along the line of like a tinamou crest.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Something along those sort of lines.
I'm just imagining like a little red glove on top of its head.
Yeah, why not?
Tinamou's more cool, I think. Yeah.
Number 4, we've got the heavy-footed moa.
Well, now we know why it can't fly.
Well, I mean, its name, Pachyornis elephantopus, basically tells you this bird's heavy and thick set. It means thick bird with elephant foot.
Right.
So, yeah, basically describes it pretty well.
I really like that name. That might be one of my favourite names.
Well, elephantopus.
No, the whole name, Pachyornis elephantopus, is like Pachycephalosaurus mixed with bird, mixed with elephant, mixed with octopus.
Yep.
That should be the Chimera challenge in the next quiz.
Okay. So got about 1.5 meters in height and weighed up to 145 kilos. This is a thick bird. You know,
good for kicking. I'm not kicking the bird kicking you. Heavy feet.
So had extremely thick legs, a barrel-shaped body, really quite rounded body compared to other moas, and lived in the eastern part of the Southern Islands grasslands. So that's down into the sort of Dunedin area and like really sort of, well, Takahe territory in some ways. No, not Takahe territory. I mean, it would have been at one point, but
how close is this to the Gap of Rohan?
I think that's actually, if I remember correctly, I think that's that sort of area, Mount Sunday and everything is down in the southeast. So yeah, it's the Rohan moa thing.
Rohan moa. I'm just thinking because the thick legs, the horse legs, strong legs, galloping.
So you've got the eastern moa, which gets up to 1.8 meters tall and up to 100 kilos. We're starting to get into the big boys now. So this is a slender build with a much longer neck and widespread along coastal and lowland areas. And would have basically been a mid-level forager. Think of a lot of these birds as essentially being the sort of hoofstock of New Zealand, filling in that ecological
niche. It definitely is sounding like they found a sweet spot. Lots of resources, no predators, diversify.
Well, not no predators. We will
not
get
entirely, but few predators and quick diversification. Throw all the spaghetti at the wall and try and get as much of it to stick as possible.
Yeah. So next we've got the upland moa, and they got up to about 1.7 meters in height and weighed up to about 75 kilos. These were mountain species, obviously upland, adapted for thick insulating plumage. And in fact, some of the upland moas are the ones that have been found preserved in caves. And these were probably some of the very last moas to go extinct because of their sort of
the isolation,
far more isolated areas. So the North Island giant moa, which is, well, two of the largest species. This is Dionis novazelandiae, which is specifically found on the North Island. They were up to 3.5 meters tall and weighed up to 200 kilos. And then the largest of the moa family, the South Island giant moa, the one that the artwork is, Dionis robustus, basically the robust moa.
Robust moa.
Up to 3.6 meters tall and can weigh up to 250 kilos. Now, I'd like to point out that's the females probably weighing up to 250 kilos because there is, as you'll see in a minute, some extreme sexual dimorphism with these birds, like you would not believe. Although if you've seen the new Prehistoric Planet, you'd know that already because there's a fantastic scene in that. So they were the tallest bird to have ever existed, as far as we know. Both of these giant species had extremely long necks, column-like legs, very small heads comparatively to their bodies, absolutely tiny, really, about the same size as your hand, effectively.
So in Kung Fu, they should rename crane to moa.
Yes. Shaggy brown plumage with 3 forward-facing toes, your standard theropod setup. However, a nice 4th little toe on the back, as is, with most birds. No visible wings at all. Like I say, those wings are buried far within the body of the bird. They do not exist. So, how on earth did moas live? Well, they were strict herbivores. In fact, we have coprolites of these birds. There's a surprising wealth of fossil evidence and a surprising wealth of mummified evidence. We know the coat colors of some of these birds. Some of them were shaggy brown and just very sort of plain, sort of like an emu's feathers. Others we know that they were spotted, like the spotted kiwi, in similar sort of habitats as well. And some of them, like I say, there's a bit of guesswork as to whether they have the crests. But we do have coprolites, which show the exact diets that they ate. Things like leaves, ferns, twigs, seeds, fruit, bark, pretty much your standard herbivore food throughout. But each species diversified and ate different foods at different heights, basically niche partitioning at its finest. You would have found that if you look at all the moa heads as well, from all the different species, you'll see that their beaks are different. Each one has a different shaped beak. Some of them
Makes
were
sense.
better for snipping off more sort of fibrous material like grasses.
Yeah.
Some of them were better for plucking leaves at higher distances. All of those sort of things that you expect to see. So they also swallowed stones, like other birds, to help grind within their gizzard, since they don't have teeth. And if you're eating plants, it's a very fibrous meal.
Yeah.
And like I say, these birds had extreme sexual dimorphism. They are one of the most extraordinary features of the moa was this extreme sexual dimorphism, the most dramatic known in any bird species. Now, when we tend to think of sexual dimorphism in birds, with the females being bigger, we tend to think of raptors because there's usually a bit of a size difference. But this just makes them look ridiculous because females would have been up to 3.6 meters tall. This would have been in the South Island giant moa as well as the North Island, but you end up with these females being up to 3.6 meters tall and weighing up to 250 kilos, where males are only half the female's body mass.
Oh, okay.
They're tiny. The males were shorter, more lightly built, and there's a good reason for that as well. Not just to be odd, but it has an actual reason, which we'll get onto in a minute.
I think
DNA.
Yes.
Oh, go on, place your bet now.
I reckon the females used them as sacrificial kind of bait to keep their chicks and themselves safe.
Okay, interesting theory.
They just go, take this. We don't need them anymore.
So DNA testing on bones revealed that what scientists thought at one point were separate species were actually male and female. We're having an eclectus moment, basically, because they look so different. People are going, well, they can't be the same species. So the number of moa species is actually sort of shrunk down over time. The size difference was that extreme. A female moa could nearly be twice the mass of her mate. And there's, let's say, a reason for this. The leading explanation centers on reproduction. Moas,
of course, ratites, yes.
Yes. Now, this has probably jumped into your head with things like ostriches and stuff like that. So, moas laid enormous eggs, around 24 centimeters long. Think rugby ball size is about right for them. And they usually only laid 1 to 2 eggs. 2 would probably be a really good year. Each of these eggs could weigh over several kilos. I mean, we've got an ostrich egg there. Do you want to grab that one out?
We could get it.
This is the largest living or extant species of ratite today is the ostrich. And this egg would pale in comparison to a moa egg. And I think, if I remember correctly, ostrich eggs hold about 12 chicken eggs in them.
Yes.
So I think in all, you've probably got about a kilo, maybe a kilo and a half.
Yeah, I mean, this was heavy.
Oh yeah, they're not, they're not small eggs, but comparatively, this is quite small, and would not be, the sort of size that you'd expect a moa to be laying.
It's a beautiful egg, though.
Indeed. And like many other ratites today, it's likely that the males incubated the eggs because the females are so massive that are sat on the eggs that have probably crushed them. So the males have been responsible for incubating and nest defense, and smaller size may have meant that they were actually needing less food, allowing longer fasting periods while sitting on the eggs. And they've actually found nesting sites of where moas would have nested. The male would sort of shove himself in sort of a hollow and protect the eggs that way. So he's tucked away from the elements and he's able to protect the eggs that little bit better. Whilst the female can then produce larger eggs, which means they store greater energy reserves in those eggs, which means that the egg can hatch out further developed and the baby is pretty much ready to go, completely precocial. And the female then can move on and would probably do what ostriches do, which is mate with several males over several territories and get the male to then look after the chicks. So yeah, very similar to what happens in modern day ratites, just on a slightly bigger scale, but ostriches lay far more eggs in a clutch.
Yes.
So very low clutch sizes, like say of 1 to 2 eggs, would actually be part of their undoing, as we'll see. They had long incubation periods that allowed the chicks to grow lot more, basically putting in that parental care whilst they're in the egg. And this would have meant that the birds probably had much later sexual maturity. It would have taken a lot longer for these birds to become adult birds, essentially. So this life history of traits made moas highly vulnerable to sudden increases in their mortality. They did have natural predators before humans. Their primary predator was the haast eagle, an absolutely stunning predator. Like I say, one of the largest birds of prey that's ever existed, with a wingspan up to 3 meters, weighing up to 15 kilos. It attacked from above, driving powerful talons the size of tiger claws into the moa's pelvis and back, essentially breaking its bones on impact. Be like being hit with a sledgehammer in the back, knocking you down, and then the bird can move around and then go for the head. And there is some thought that this may have happened to the very first people, in New Zealand. They would have basically met this similar fate by this large predatory eagle, which in a sort of macabre way would be an absolutely amazing thing to see hunt. I mean, both moa and people. The haast eagle is an amazing predator. Let's say, have covered it in the past.
Yeah.
So at some point, obviously, somewhere around 1250 to 1300 CE, the first people made it to New Zealand. These were Polynesian settlers, the ancestors of the Maori, and they turned up, in lots of different Polynesian islands, and obviously settled in New Zealand as well. And within roughly 150 years, all moa species were extinct. That is almost European levels of extinction. That one, we are pretty much the kings of turning up in a place and decimating its wildlife. But it just shows, like I say, it can be.
If you try, you can achieve it. That too.
Yeah, it's not really an achievement, is it? But moas were obviously easy prey for humans.
Yeah.
And wherever we go, we're very good at making an impact. The most widely accepted extinction window is somewhere around 1400 to 1450 CE. And we have so much evidence of archaeological sites, butchered moa bones, burned eggshell fragments, moa hunting camps, and tools made from their bones to probably catch and kill more moa. Basically, they had no fear of humans. Like most of the birds in New Zealand, when humans turned up, they probably walked up to them and went, how you going? And just got clubbed on the head. They reproduced slowly as well. They laid very few eggs, and obviously they are ground nesting. It's not going to be hard to find,
And you said it earlier on, but you didn't list it there. But that's kind of period of maturation from chick to adult as well. That would have. Oh yeah, that would have had an impact too.
Yeah, if you take a long time to basically reach maturity, that population can disappear very, very quickly. And yeah,
as it did.
I
didn't realize how like in relative terms how recent that was though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's really, really shocking actually about this.
I mean, this, like I say, this is at a point where, the 1400s, what was going on? You've got my history is terrible. Isn't that the Renaissance? Something like that.
400 years after the Vikings have invaded. 400 years later, so the moa was still around.
Yeah.
That's like an almost kind of Wrangel Island mammoths are still around when the pyramids have finished being built.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So basically, this. They could not withstand the sustained hunting, and this represents one of the fastest documented megafaunal extinctions in human history. 150 years, and all of those species of moa wiped out, even the ones up in the furthest highlands of New Zealand, South Island, in pretty, bleak territories, really.
You said they were the last guys, because the ancestors of the Maori were desperate. You got to get your nuggets from somewhere.
Well, it actually came to a huge impact on Maori society. The extinction of the moa didn't just remove a species, it reshaped the entirety of New Zealand's Maori culture. When the Polynesian settlers arrived in New Zealand between 1250 and 1300, they encountered an ecosystem overflowing with these large native birds. For the early Maori communities, moa represented basically easy food wherever you wanted it. Archaeologists refer to this earliest period of Maori settlement as the archaic or moa hunting phase. And this period lasted roughly, let's say, about 200 years until it obviously all ended. It was characterized by large, semi-permanent coastal settlements, massive middens filled with moa bones. Basically, think of KFC and then just dumping all of the bones
in
one pile. Industrial scale butchery sites, specialized moa hunting tools as well. I mean, you want to bring these birds down as easily as you can because clearly you've got that craving for that Kentucky Fried Moa. Extensive egg harvesting as well.
You need your omelette.
I mean, that's one hell of an omelette.
An omelette feeds the whole family or clan or tribe.
At some southern island sites, such as I'm going to butcher this name again, Wairau Bay, thousands of moa bones have been uncovered. Many show clear-cut marks from stone tools. The marrow was extracted, and systematic dismemberment. So basically, let's say, an industrialized version of butchery. The entire processing sites indicate organized hunting parties capable of killing multiple moa all at once. A single female moa could have weighed up to 200 kilos, like we said, and provide hundreds of kilos of meat, large quantities of fat, and especially if you're living on the southern island, that's fat, and also then the ability to use the skins as well.
Yeah.
Bones used for fish hooks, spear points, needles, ornaments, eggshells used as containers. Moa were not merely food; they were foundational resources to the Maori culture at this point. But
you could ask, how do they like their eggs in the Moa?
Oh, God.
Moa.
They're getting worse. So this obviously couldn't last because moas reproduce slowly, laying perhaps 1 or 2 eggs per breeding season. They were biologically incapable of keeping up with the demand that humans put on them. Within roughly 150 years, all of them were extinct, and this caused a massive crisis and a shift in basically the local economy and settlement shifts. With the loss of large territorial prey, Maori societies underwent significant transformations. They shifted towards horticulture. We're not talking, pruning the roses or anything, but communities increasingly relied on cultivating crops. Sweet potato, taro root, gourds. Agriculture became more structured and labor intensive because you've got to get your food from somewhere. This led to forest clearance to create more areas for growing, soil modification, and storage systems and seasonal planning. So part of what is now modern day Maori culture, essentially, when it comes to things like that, became that because of the extinction of the moa. Food production became less opportunistic and more managed because you've got it. I mean, that must have been a weird moment for those people to have realized there's none left. They're gone.
Oops.
Yeah.
Where'd they all go?
And just sitting there realizing that there's no easy meat anymore. You've got to work that bit harder. There was an increased marine dependency. Coastal fisheries intensified dramatically. I mean, we're not talking to today's level, but still, for early settlers and that, yes, this was more reliant on fish, shellfish, seals, smaller forest birds, and the middens that basically show where Maori settlements were, showed that there's a shift from moa bones to fish bones, shellfish, seal bones, all these different things. Fishing technology evolved and improved. They basically started making better hooks, nets from fish traps, because you've got to find protein somewhere. And marine protein became central to survival. New Zealand is like Britain. It's surrounded by water. So just like Britain has traditionally lots of cultural fishing villages, New Zealand had the same as well. So settlement reorganization. Early moa hunt settlements were often located near abundant bird populations. And after these, the populations went extinct, it shifted towards defensible inland fortified villages. There was a lot of civil wars and territorial disputes over resources after this point.
Of course.
And this basically marked the transition from the archaic period to what is called the classic Maori period. In short, the disappearance of the moa helped push Maori society towards greater social complexity and territorial organization. So it completely changed their society. And there were ripple effects as well, further afield than just Maori society. The extinction of the moa also caused a cascading ecological consequence. The Haast eagle, which had evolved specifically to hunt large prey, lost its primary food source. And within a relatively short period after the moa disappeared, the Haast eagle also went extinct. The removal of large herbivores also altered forest dynamics, reducing browsing pressures, so changing plant species distribution, and long-term shifts in forest composition. So with those sort of dedicated browsers in certain areas, you could guarantee that there would have been a change in the different plants that make up those areas. So some plant species that evolved defenses against moa, with certain species of shrubs that had tangled, wiry branches, maybe evolutionary relics of that lost ecological relationship, are still around today. And there is a cultural memory with the Maori as well. Although the moa vanished physically, they did not disappear from Maori's memory. The moa appears in oral traditions, place names and carvings, and early European settlers were even told stories of large birds still roaming remote valleys, though by then they were almost completely long extinct. The moa became part of a cultural history, a reminder of the abundance and loss and change. And that sort of, well, it becomes New Zealand's Bigfoot, basically,
yes,
in so many ways. And in fact, you do still get modern sightings of moa. And the same thing that always happens, blurry photo time, because occasional sightings still are reported in the remote Southern Islands region, like Fiordland, which is also supposedly where there is moose roaming around as well.
I was going to say, they're probably spotting deer.
Oh,
that shouldn't be there.
There is the Fiordland moose as well, which were apparently a wonderful idea, I believe, by a Canadian to release moose into the Fiordland area. And supposedly they're there. They're sort of like New Zealand's big cats. So, yeah. However, there are no confirmed remains that date past 1450, and most of those, like I say, were the upland moas up in caves and everything. No environmental DNA evidence in the case of, poo. No verified photographs that aren't blurry as anything, and no physical specimens. No one's hit one with a car, no one's found a dead one, that sort of thing. All the things that you need to be able to prove the existence of a moa, Bigfoot, a big cat, a moose, all of those things that never seem to turn up. So as much as I would be the first one to go, yes, wonderful, if they found a moa tomorrow, I just don't buy it. So the survival of a multi-meter tall bird population in modern New Zealand is extraordinarily unlikely. But could the moa return? So as we've talked about with many of the different species that have sadly gone extinct in recent history, there is a drive now to try and, bring them back. And the biotech company Colossal Bioscience is the one who is currently pursuing de-extinction projects involving the mammoth, the dodo, the thylacine, and we've, let's say, talked to Dr. Pask about
Professor Andrew Pask,
Professor, so yeah, about the thylacine, which he was absolutely fantastic to talk about this. He's also slightly involved in this project as well, because preserved moa DNA has been extracted from bones and even mummified specimens. Let's say there are some really well preserved ones. Scientists speculate that revival might happen one day. However, like I say, there are some huge challenges. No suitable surrogate species exists other than the ostrich. You're not getting this thing in a tinamou's egg. They've got to obviously restore the genome and basically, see what's going to happen. But this project itself, I know that is certainly being driven more to work with the Maori people and preserve other bird species in New Zealand, like the takahe, the kiwi, other birds that are threatened with the same fate of extinction that the moa was faced by. It's also being bankrolled by, guess who? think of one of
Peter Jackson in it.
exactly
Do you know
Peter
what?
Jackson.
I didn't know about this, but it sounds really familiar. And then you said that. This is the Peter Jackson one.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah, very good.
one of New Zealand's most famous people is helping to bring back one of New Zealand's most famous birds. And all I insist is that they have like capes, like the hobbits or something, or you know.
Peter Jackson's secretly one of the Blue Wizards.
I hope so, yes. Yeah, that would be good. But for now, the moa remains extinct, gone for nearly 600 years, which is geologically the blink of an eye. You know, these animals disappeared. From their arrival in the Miocene, 16 to 19 million years ago, they rose as towering forest giants. To their disappearance around 1450, the moa represents both evolutionary magnificence and ecological warning as well. They ruled a world without mammals, which in my mind is, I know I'm a mammal, but give me a world without mammals in some ways. In just a few human generations, they were gone. So they played a huge cultural impact to the people of New Zealand, and hopefully they will in the future, you know, if they do come back. So yeah, that's the moa. So I'll have to move on to my next New Zealand bird species now.
Or moa on.
No. Let's head to the emails.
Bing! You've got mail. Ooh, it's an email.
Right, well, we're into our emails for this week. We're going to start things off with the question from last episode, which is, well, what is your favorite polar animal species? Aaron, I think it was fairly obvious with yours, was polar bear, you know.
Yeah,
from the polar bear episode.
Polar bear, I think.
Yeah, and then I think I went off onto a lot of pinnipeds. But Jen Bab starts us off with narwhal for me. The hubby likes walruses too. Of which Robin Clark has actually replied saying, Jen Bab's two of my favourites. I think, yeah, it's not hard to like a narwhal.
No.
The unicorns of the sea.
I was literally about to say the Jedi of the sea. No, narwhals and walruses are great. Steve Trim says sea spiders.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. And especially the Antarctic ones, which get massive. Tom Gray has said muskox, a true Ice Age relic. They're pretty cool.
They are. Epi Aurelius says maybe a pretty generic answer, but I love emperor penguins. They're very interesting little dudes.
Yeah.
Not as interesting as Emperor Palpatine, but there we go.
Where? What?
Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, Emperor Penguin.
How did that go over your head?
I don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just caught Gareth having a brain fart live.
Yeah. So my other half has said sea angels, which if you're not sure what they are basically sea snails that swim. She likes her gastropods.
Yeah, fair enough. Kelsey Watts has said Butterball, who is of course a guest on that episode. Here's my teddy bear from when I was born.
Right, okay.
That's his name.
That's thrown me. Yes,
His name. Yeah.
Fair enough. I thought you were referring to a game character from like I think it's called Knockout or something.
Sure, that would be Butterbean.
Oh, is it Butter?
Yeah, because it's based on a real like boxer pro wrestler guy.
There you go. That shows my knowledge is not only can I, not figure out who Emperor Palpatine is, but I don't remember characters from a game I've never played. Anyway, Tracy Dover said the Svalbard reindeer. I think that's one of your favourites.
Yeah. And Spencer Seams finishes us off with Atlantic puffins. They sound like little chainsaws.
They are pretty cool.
So opposed to Amur leopards that sound like big chainsaws.
And probably more akin to an actual chainsaw if one of them got near.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, that was last week's answers to that question. This week, I figured because we've got an extinct bird, we should go with, what's your favourite extinct species of bird? I'm going to limit this. You can't say dinosaurs.
I was going to say,
like
also
birds, aves, neo-aves.
Can we also decide that something like Archaeopteryx, which blurs the line, we're pushing that to dinosaur?
Yeah, it's a dinosaur.
Non-avian dinosaur.
So neo-aves, which is basically all modern birds.
Yes.
So yeah, what would be yours?
I'd be interested to see if you know what mine is. It's I've got many cherished memories.
Extinct species Many cherished memories of,
Yeah.
of an extinct bird.
I loved it dearly.
Is it Argentavis?
It is Argentavis, yes.
And that's because of Ark. Because, yeah.
I had, if you remember, I had two. One called Hugin and one called Munin.
Yes. Odin's ravens. Yes. And
They were
game form.
They were lovely birds. I do miss them.
Oh dear.
Ark, if only you
Good.
could have upgraded yourself several times.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Argentavis is good.
Studio Wildcat have a lot to answer for. Anyway, what was yours? Yeah, Argentavis is great. What are you talking about? Good. What's your one?
See, there's too many interesting ones.
Mm-hmm.
In so many ways. There's obviously the Mart.
Mm.
There's the dodo as well, which I think is the archetypal extinct bird. You know. Do you know what? I'm gonna use the chance to actually shine a spotlight on a bird that has fascinated me ever since seeing it in one small section of a book. And it's the New Caledonian dew, spelled D-U. Just double checking that, because I'm fairly certain.
It was supposed to be called, I don't know if you know this, it was supposed to be called the New Caledonian Dude, but the person who was naming it got interrupted. Shut up.
That's Sylviornis, which is like a weird. It's also known as the New Caledonian dew, spelled D-U, and it's well, the island of New Caledonia already has weird birds on it. It's got the New Caledonian cuckoo as well, which is a really cool looking bird. Imagine, well, it's a type of rail. So imagine, I don't know, it's kind of like a grey chicken with like big hairstyle at the front, and they parade around. Except it's not a chicken. But this one has a really big, thick set beak.
I was going to say, the paleo art that you showed me.
Yes.
Really interesting beak.
Odd looking bird, but really cool, and very little information about it. And like I say, it's not very well known.
Not enough to do a creature feature on that.
Probably not, but you know what? Maybe I'll look into doing it at some point. Who knows? But yeah, that's the one I go with. But there's unfortunately too many birds to pick in some ways. Yeah.
I wonder if Drew would pick passenger pigeon, or if he has another one and it was just like he liked that one, so he did that creature feature.
I mean, and there's the other one. There's next on my list for extinct creature features of birds is the Carolina parakeet. That other one that fits with the passenger pigeon has really sad tales of how we've managed to wipe out multiple birds. So yeah. Well, anyway. There you go. Let us know your answers throughout all the normal ways that will be going up on our Facebook page or in the comments of our YouTube page. And speaking of those comments, Aaron, have we got any comments from last week?
Yeah, so we do have some comments on YouTube. There's actually been 2 episodes that have come out since we last did some comments. So the first one on the Polar Bear episode comes to us from Renin Ton. 9925, and he says, "Hello, cupboard captains." This is a funny one. This one I'm reading up because sometimes we mess up.
Never.
Hello, cupboard captains. Just something I have noticed. The polar predator name has been used for the leopard seal in a previous episode, and I checked, and you are right.
Yeah.
But we'd have to take the video down to rename it, and then
just pretend you didn't see it.
So yeah, you can. He can come up with his own name.
Yeah.
Type your names for the polar predator in the bottom. I like
the dedication to remembering all the names there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and the next comment on this video is Rosalie9961, who says, "For this week's question of favorite polar animal species, I'll be going with 2 answers because one of my picks has a cosmopolitan range and felt like it would be unfair to polar animals. So my first pick is the orca."
Nice.
She brings up an interesting point here. Living in both the North and South Poles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they are my favourite of the cetaceans. Their hunting techniques with seals out on ice floes, is so brilliant. It makes you wonder how long it took, or how the first orcas who performed it figured it out and figured it would be effective. My second pick, and the one that mainly lives in the polar regions, is the leopard seal, or of the southern pole. I love their sleek build, and they've sort of a cunning look to them. Also, I have a worry that people could hate them because they eat penguins, which makes me a little sad. That would be sad if people hated them for just being what
I
they
do
are.
feel they do have a cunning, if not villainous look to them to an extent. They're not evil in the slightest. They're just a carnivore doing what it does.
They're
They
the ones
do
that
have a-
bring fish up to people sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh,
They have also killed the
I
person.
was going to say it'll bite these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do certainly have a cunning, if not, you know, slightly more ha-ha look. I think they need a mustache just to
So the next two comments come from this is the first Nature Bites that's been released, isn't it? This one?
proper one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one for this year, yeah.
This year, yeah. And because obviously we're experimenting with new formats at the moment. The first comment comes to us from Kelsey Watts Music, who says, My son and I absolutely love this. More, please. Desert, jungle, safari, really cool. Although my son kept thinking Uncle Aaron was in a bomb.
I mean, submarine, bomb.
Well, yeah, I mean, that
Yeah.
Titanic one.
Mm.
Maybe we should laugh
I mean,
at that.
you know, do you know how? I mean, that submarine's now sitting outside. You know, it's just rusting out there now. I'm getting on to building a time machine next, but we'll see where that goes.
That has made me really happy. That's really cool. I'm actually really happy to know that my nephew is watching. That's really cool.
There you go.
And the second comment comes to us from Abhijit Borkar, who says, I hope you have serviced your submarine. Yeah.
I like to say it's out on bricks now.
Ours is even then it's better kept than that one that went down to the Titanic.
Well, yeah, I spared no expense in making that. You know?
Yeah, really cool comments there from everybody. Thank you guys. And again, we are aware we make mistakes sometimes. Feel free to throw them at us because obviously it keeps us humble, but also it's kind of funny to laugh at the hosts a bit, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. So you can get in contact with us, like I say, by leaving us a comment there or by sending us an email at the nathistorykupboard@gmail.com, which I believe we've got some of those as well.
We do. We've got a couple today. So the first one comes to us from one of our wonderful Patreon supporters, Jen Greenholsh, who says, Hello, my lovely lot. My friend Emily and I were planning our trip to Manchester Museum on Saturday 21st to ensure we have time to see Stan the T-Rex, grab a lovely lunch, and get a good seat to see Dean Lomax with his Secret Lives of Dinosaurs. Emily suddenly poses the question, in Jurassic Park, when they are all on the ride looking at the labs, what was the rest of the ride going to show? We don't know because they all get out of their seats and go into the labs. What do you think the rest of the ride included? Anyway, I will send you pictures of our adventures. Well, us and Stan. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Jen. And I did email her back to say that I love this question.
I vaguely.
Now, I think we can't use the books here. We have to
Right,
be
okay, 'cause
strictly
I'm
in the
thinking
movie
that
realm.
I'm fairly certain that the books had like
It was different. I think the scene was different.
Yeah. But I had a feeling that there was like a part of it that showed like rearing pens or something like that. Like because there's a bit in the book where they're talking about young raptors in like a room that
a nursery
and like a nursery room.
Yeah.
That would be my guess is like nursery rooms or nursery pens with young hatchling animals in it. Or just shows the break room of the 4 or 5 people who seem to work there.
Well, you know, so at first you're in the cinema, and then it's not that obviously the walls don't move, the seats
Move.
shift along, don't they, on the track?
Is it on a track or is it just
track?
Is it just pivoting and all of those bits are just around and it's a really short ride because it just goes to the cinema bit, incubation, like control room, and then you're back at the beginning.
I think that it
Gift shop
stays on in the looking at the lab room for a bit. But yes, I think after that you see another peek behind the curtain. I think it would have been like a nursery or something. And I mean,
Ends in a gift shop. Always ends in a gift shop.
yeah, if it probably would have done. Ended in the gift shop that comes out into the restaurant there, where you get that jelly. But yeah, that's what I think. You're unfortunate if you go on a day where the raptors are feeling a bit leery, because then you see like baby raptors tearing into one of their keepers. But yeah,
Yeah, I think that sounds about the most logical. Either that, or like I say, it's the break room, and you just see people sat there just eating their sandwich. You know,
boom, 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 whatever he says. Mr. D&E, where did you come from?
So yes, that's one way you can get in contact with us as well.
The next room is full of blood. Just vials and vials of blood. Oh, from your blood. They've got
Oh,
John Hammond. They've got John Hammond's former partner and his daughter that ended up getting.
Well, I want to know. I want to know. Is he going to be there?
Because it was different. It was weird.
I want to know. Is he going to be there for every single tour?
Yeah.
To do that video.
Yeah.
Every single, and presumably
every time.
Presumably more than a few of these would go on throughout the day. So that's just his job.
He's lost so much blood. All the vials in that room are his. Oh, he's just looking grey.
I mean, I didn't think he was actually pricking his finger at the actual.
Oh, ouch!
That's called acting.
That hurt, John.
You know that when people get shot in a film, they're not dead.
You mean to say that Mr. Arnold, did not get...
No, he didn't get his arm ripped off. In fact, famously, Samuel L. Jackson appeared in several other films since then. He even got thrown out of a window in one of them.
Imagine the MCU has to come up with a canonical reason why
he's missing an arm.
Nick Fury doesn't have an arm.
Oh dear. Anyway, you can email us in your.
Now I'm not so sure my nephew should be listening.
I'll send you off down a tangent. Or you could also, if you're feeling particularly weird, you could become one of our Patreons, which we're going to tell you about, well, now.
Every week, we like to give a little love back by shouting out the names of our wonderful Patreon supporters.
That's right. These are the cupboard dwellers who are kind enough to support us through a monetary contribution, for which we are eternally grateful and grateful beyond words.
And those people are, of course, Fogtober, Jen Greenhall, Connie P, Chelsea McKee, Nick to Nick,
Owen Cox,
and Matt Geddy.
Guys, your financial contributions are actively helping us out here in the Natural History Cupboard in a myriad of ways, including developing our new studio, planning excursions and being able to go out and film on location, considering technical upgrades and actually making the jump from a solely audio-based podcast to the now growing YouTube channel. And we really can't thank you enough for that.
Now, we appreciate all of our cupboard dwellers and the support you offer us through listening, liking, sharing, and subscribing. But if you feel we've earned it and you're considering joining our Patreon, there are two options through which you can do so.
That's the Nature Nerds and the Animal Ambassador tiers, which you can find on the Patreon website or links through our social media as well. And each one having different benefits for you to enjoy.
And now back to Gareth and Erin in the studio.
So a massive thank you to our Patreons. And just a reminder, if you are one of our Patreons, you get a video coming out before everyone else. We'll see it later in the year. So if you are so inclined, become one of our wonderful Patreons, and you can send in questions like that will get Erin thinking for far too much time. But that brings us pretty much to the end of this week's episode. So big thank you, Erin.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And big thank you to you at home for joining us. So we'll see
those of you at work joining us.
Why? Who's at work?
I don't know.
Oh.
No. Even bigger thank you to them.
Slack off from work, yeah. That's fine. I don't care. I'm not your boss. So we'll see you next time here in the Natural History Cupboard. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I've searched long and hard, and I can't find any mower jokes, surprisingly, other than going into lawnmower one. So I'm going to give you a generic bird joke instead. What's the difference between a fly and a bird?
Well, there's lots of differences, but what's specifically one?
So a bird can fly, but a fly can't bird.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's an important difference.